we may be a drop in the ocean when it comes to the amount of money that can go to charity, but it's like a ripple effect, right? Like if you put a plate up in your house, everybody who comes down is going to look at it and say, "Oh, I like this. It's so cute. What's the story behind it?" And then that's three more people at a party or at a dinner in your house who now became aware of how cheap it is to, end hunger or sponsor meals. So that's the other big aim that we have. Is a very different way of initiating somebody into a conversation about charity or hunger.
We see hunger all around us, yet we're immune to it. This is where a cause like the Plated Project has stepped in, by raising our interest with its beautiful plates and an interesting tagline, "Buy a plate, fill a plate." For Chitresh Sinha, its founder and director of Chlorophyll Innovation Lab, the aim is also to start conversations around charity. The Plated Project, which has so far sponsored 4.8 lakh meals and collaborated with many artists and NGOs such as Cry, Creative Dignity, and Goonj, has also received support from many celebrity chefs, influencers, and big brands who have shared it on their social media feed. Hi, I'm Mahati Rangarajan, and this is Maharani Talks. So what makes a worthy cause like the Plated Project successful? Let's find out. Hi, Chitresh. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Hey, Mati, my pleasure. Thank you for having me here.
I've heard so much about the Plated Project that, I want to first ask you, could you take me back to the day and the time and what exactly were you doing when you first had the idea?
That's almost like, asking a witness what happened on this particular day and time.
It was such an interesting concept. So, I want to know how you came up with it.
So it started last year, Mati. I think the seed was planted early last year because in my day job, I head innovation at Chlorophyll Innovation Lab.
Yes.
So we've been set up as a design thinking firm. And then we were toying around with the idea that when you tell people design thinking and innovation, a lot of people don't get it, right? Then they'll ask you, karte kya ho? So we were saying that, okay, let's use all of our principles and design thinking and launch things on our own and show people that this is what you can do. So we had decided that, every year we will launch one social impact focused initiative of our own.
Okay.
So we knew we wanted to do that. And then we were looking at what kind of things can we do. And I was on Instagram, that's where we get most of our traffic from today, but it started on Instagram. So I was scrolling through Instagram. And then I saw this ad which actually had this little thing, the learning facts on Instagram type handles.
Okay.
So it said that, do you know that hunger kills more people than AIDS, malaria, and terrorism combined every year?
Oh.
And I was like, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And then I just, scrolled past. And then when we were doing a brainstorm that week in office about what should we focus on, I just happened to mention this. And the entire team said if hunger is such a big issue, because we see it all around us in India, we've become more or less immune to it, right?
Yeah.
We're like, okay, it's not such a big issue. And that's where it started. And then the whole idea came about that, we were brainstorming that, okay, we want to do something about hunger, but what can you do? So you can actually break up people who give back in two groups, right? One is the woke audience that I know I have a purpose in life. I want to give back, and you consciously find avenues where you can give back to society, volunteer, money, teach kids. That's one audience.
Right.
And then there's a larger audience, much larger pool of people like me, where we say that, oh, you should do something in life, but you don't know what you want to do. And then when it comes down to it, that, it's a lot of effort or involvement, then you back off. I'm actually that kind of a person. And that's why he said that, but if that is a larger universe, can we target that group? So that's why he said that, okay, let's not talk to people who are actively into giving back. Let's get people who are sitting on the fence. And then what can you do for them? So that's why he said that, okay, most people will actually give money for something that they care about.
Yeah.
So, you or me or anybody else, we'll buy shirts, we'll buy home decor, we'll spend on a meal. But if I ask that same person to give to charity, they're not that keen, right? So he said that let's not make it about charity. Let's try and end hunger by getting people to give money for something that they like. And then it just was connecting the dots. Somebody said people like art, and then somebody said, oh, why don't we put art on a plate? And then it became buy a plate, fill a plate. And then we just loved the idea, and that's where it started. So long answer, but it started with that thought that can we end hunger in a cool way.
Okay. So once you had the idea, what was, did you start reaching out to artists? What was your next step?
Yes, so it moved very quickly after that because I had a team with me who was very young. Dhruvi, the person who handles all of the design and curation for the plated project was 19 last year. She's 20 now, so that young. And the rest of the team also was between 20 and 25.
Okay.
So all of us said that let's not pontificate over this for a while, like long time. Let's just launch. So we used Wix as a free platform, and we launched our website, I think, in 3 days flat. We had the idea out, so we launched a website. Immediately after launching the website, we started DMing people on Instagram, all of the artists that we like. So the artists were the first point of contact. We reached out to them. We said, this is what we want to do. And can we use your art? Or do you want to create art for this? And it was overwhelming yeses from everybody. We reached out to artists who we used to admire, based in New York, based in London, based in India, where we thought that, they sell their art for upwards of $50,000. Why will they ever want to be a part of this platform? But all of them said yes. All of them said that we like your idea. Reach out to us when you have a theme that you're curating for or you're launching something specific, and we're on board.
Okay.
So we did that when we saw that a lot of artists were on board. That's when we said that, okay, what can we launch? That took a lot longer because initially the idea was that, okay, if you want people to buy a plate so that you can sponsor a plate of food for somebody else, can you reach out to them at a place where they're already spending money? So he said, let's launch our plates in restaurants. At a time, long time back, when we used to all go out and eat and enjoy
Yeah.
meals, that's when we said that somebody's spending $4,000 on an average for a meal. They would love to pick up art when you're in that space, right? So we did that. We reached out to restaurant partners, and then the first partner we got on board was Pooja Dhingra, who runs Love 15, and she's a major influencer on Instagram also.
Yeah.
So I knew her through somebody else, and we reached out, gave her the idea, and she loved it. And she immediately said that, I'm on board. I'll work with you. Let's launch a series together. And can you support Save the Children India? Because that's a charity that she wanted to donate to. So we found out how many meals do they, need to sponsor, how many kids do they have in the school, and how can we make that happen? And that's where our first series was launched last October. So we launched officially in about July, and the first series was out in October. So it's between July, August, September, that everything from curation, getting the artists on board, contracts, sampling, finding vendors to do this, figuring out how do you get payments to be accepted online.
Yeah.
All of that happened like 3 months.
Okay. Like your collaboration with Pooja Dingram it was called Quarter of Nostalgia,
Yeah.
and it had to do with childhood memories. Um, and I have to say, personally, I love the idea how you left a quarter of the plate with no artwork on it to send a message. So, could you take me through the process of how do you come about what theme the artist should follow?
So it varies. Like the idea is that 3 to 4 times a year we launch major thematic launches like a quarter of nostalgia, where it's all commissioned art. So we plan to do that 3 to 4 times a year.
Okay.
The rest of the time also we're curating art. So it's art that's available with artists, but every month we pick a charity first, or we pick a social cause, and then we work backwards from that and try and interpret that in a art or an artistic manner. So with Quarter of Nostalgia, like we were just chatting, Pooja already knew that she wanted to support kids,
Yeah.
and she wanted to support kids in a very specific school in Bombay, right? So we started off with that. So we said that, okay, what are we trying to eradicate? What element of hunger? So it was malnutrition in kids. And then we said that let's do some research and find out what are the facts around this. And that's where the quarter came up, that we actually realized that, and it's true even today, 1 in 4 kids in India's cities, not even villages, are malnourished. So that ratio is hugely alarming, right? So
Yeah.
we said that, okay, let's make that a part of our artwork so that conversations then happen around it. And that's why it was all the team's work that, all of them came up with this idea. They said that why don't we create this theme of leaving one fourth of the plate blank?
Okay.
And then, art fills the other space. So we said, okay, great idea. What will the artwork be? And that's where we again went back and said that, most of us, I'm very privileged to have had a happy childhood. And we said that all of us are nostalgic about our childhoods, right? When you talk about food, the first memory that will come to your mind is grandmom's mom's cooking, or something we used to love as kids.
Yeah.
And that's why we said that, okay, let's talk to artists. We gave them a free hand. We picked 6 artists with very different styles. We said that the only brief that we're giving you is pick your favorite memory from your childhood and interpret it using art, and just make sure that you design it in a manner where one fourth is left blank organically. It's not like I've taken a pizza slice out of the pizza.
Okay.
So that's all. And then artists had their own interpretations. Like we had Santanu, who's an artist from the northeastern part of India. He said that I grew up where we had a lot of greenery right behind our house. And then my brother and I used to go out looking for fireflies. So if you notice, his artwork has, in his very unique style, it's very trippy. Two boys who are actually hunting fireflies, and you can see fireflies all around.
Yeah, I've seen that plate.
And then somebody else loved their dog, and they said that, when I was growing up, my dog was my protector, that I could explore magical worlds because I knew that my dog's with me and that he would keep me safe. So she's again interpreted this in a manner where you've got, these air balloons, and the air balloons are all with paw prints and dogs in them and owners and things like that. So it was very cute, and all of the artists did their thing. And then we launched this with Puja.
Okay. So is there a lot of back and forth going with the artists, or, they have complete freedom? Do you worry that there could be overlapping or something, because you want each plate to be unique, right?
Yeah, I mean, that I think it's part of the process. So what we've realized is that when you're commissioning art or when you're creating art with the artist, we try and spend a lot of time on the ideation stage so that both of us are on the same page. And once that's set, then you honestly need to trust the artist. So then we actually give it out to them saying that, okay, you know what, we've liked your style. That's why we reached out to you. Now that we're both on the same page, we know what you're going to depict. Now you go ahead and do it in your own way. But if you're not clear in the initial stage, that's why in the first series, we had a lot of back and forth. And then, there were a lot of artists who came on board and they liked giving back to the cause. But after a point, they were like, listen, we didn't think it would be so much work. But we streamlined a lot of things after that. With curated work, it's actually much simpler, right? Because we're looking at the artwork that we like. And then you're just talking to the artist and saying, can we bring it onto our platform?
Yeah.
So that's much simpler.
With your later initiatives, you tied up with many NGOs, right? Whether it was Cry or Kranti. So, how does that happen? Do you choose the NGO, or did some of them approach you?
It's both ways. It's both ways. So, like Cry, for example, we've not currently done something with them, but I knew somebody at Cry, and we had a conversation, and then they said that let's do something together in the future. But Goonj, for example,
Yeah.
we did a series very recently with Goonj. Now we went to Goonj because when we knew that we want to donate to people who are giving out ration kits, and especially to migrant workers, we did our research to find out who seems to be the most credible and trusted. And then we reached out and said that, you know what, we don't want anything from you. We're going to make you the beneficiary for the profits from our sales this month. All we need to know is how can we make the transfer? And are you okay with us mentioning your name? That's all. And they said, it's fine. The other way of doing it is there are NGOs who reached out to us where they've actually told us very clearly that this is the cause that we support, this is the issue that we're facing. Would you be willing to support us? And then we picked a few of them, and then we try and create art around that specific cause and theme as well. So it works both ways.
Okay. Could you talk a little bit about how did you start getting the word out?
So November to May was a really long gestation period because all of us had day jobs, right? So we were just doing this as a side project where we weren't really promoting it aggressively. But we were very lucky to have Pooja co-launch the first series with us. So that got us a lot of attention. A lot of
Okay.
media people reached out because they wanted to write articles about it. A lot of influencers, shared the word and spread the word. So it worked organically. From May onwards, I think it's a community. It's the Instagram community that we have, which really does the hard work for us. So every time somebody buys a plate, because it's something, going back to the audience which wanted to buy it for yourself, you bought it because you love the art, right? So you do want to click a picture of it and post it on Instagram. And then when you do that, a lot of other people ask, oh, I love this. Where did you get it? And then it's a story that you can tell people, right? So it worked organically. We've, from our side, made sure that we reach out to as many people as we can. So I've been spamming friends and family on WhatsApp
Okay.
that, there's a new launch out. Why don't you go and buy it? At work, we've been really supported by everybody around. So right from Kiran, who heads Chlorophyll, to all of my colleagues, we've reached out to all of our clients. We've reached out to all of the partners that we've had in the past. But so far, it's been organic. We've not really put in any money in terms of media spend or a marketing budget
Okay.
so far.
That's good.
Yeah, we've been really lucky.
So, roughly, how many meals so far were you able to, through this project, provide?
The current count is 2.8 lakh meals. It's 280,000 so far. I think 2.5 lakh from this have actually happened in the last 6 months alone. Because when we did the series with Pooja, we sponsored about 5,000 meals with that 1 month. And then between November till about April, we were doing some amount of meals every month. But when COVID hit, the work we did at that point of time, that's
Yeah.
really, amped up all of the donations and what we're doing. So currently we're about 2.8 lakh meals sponsored. In terms of money, that's about 10 odd lakhs, about 10.5 odd lakhs that we've donated.
Okay. When did you realize the impact of the plated project?
So I think again for us, right when COVID hit, when we went into our first lockdown, that's when we said that, let's do something about this number. Like all the newspaper headlines were 140 million people lost their jobs overnight, major chunk of them being migrant workers.
Yeah.
And we were lucky, right? Because we were all locked down in our respective houses, working remotely. I mean, I told you, I got really lucky that I was in Goa with my parents at that point in time. So I couldn't have asked for anything better. A lot of us didn't have a lot of workload in, end March or early April because all of the work from the client side and things like that went on pause, right?
Yeah.
So we just said that, okay, we have the time, we have the bandwidth, we have the platform. Why don't we do something for the migrant workers? And then we said that, okay, we want to launch a series. We know the kind of artwork we want. We know what the theme should be. But the huge task was that we didn't have any money of our own to put into production because we don't operate on a drop shipping model. We actually pay for the plates, get them delivered to us, and then we retail them. That's the only way we can control quality.
Okay.
So, we just said that we want to sponsor 100,000 meals in 1 month for the migrant worker. And then we work backwards. We said, okay, Goonj, when it gives out ration kits, the cost of a meal is as low as 5 rupees for a family. So we did the math and we said that, okay, 100,000 divided by 5, this is the number of plates I need to sell. How do I now produce them? So we reached out to a lot of sponsors. We reached out to brands and we said that, are you looking at giving to donate, to charity? And they said yes. We said rather than you giving out money directly, what if you gave it through us? And the promise I can make you is if you give me 1 rupee, I will donate 1.5 rupees on your behalf to the charity. And the way that, so for them, it made business sense because, finally you get an ATG certificate and it's, good for business and it's also building your brand, right?
Yeah.
So they said, okay, sounds cool. How do you plan on doing that? So then we worked out a very simple model where we shared our production costs with them. We said, I want to produce the plates at this amount. So the money that you give me is going into production. We're not taking anything out of it. And then we're going to mark up the prices of the plate. And then normally we donate only our profits to charity. But in this scenario, because all the production costs are taken care of, we don't buy somebody paid for charity. So that's how it happened.
Okay.
And it worked because we were really surprised. But I think in less than 10 conversations, we had 4 brands who said that we're on board. It took a couple of days. Once this was on board, we reached out to artists and we knew that this is a global cause, right?
Yeah.
So we reached out to about 30 different artists from around the world. And we said that all we want you to do is give us a artistic rendition of what hope means to you in the current circumstances. And that's why it was called a plate full of hope. So we had artists who shared artwork with us from Italy, where there are artists who had depicted the singing on the balconies. They said that, okay, this is an artwork I have. There was an artist from Indonesia who shared a piece of work where they said that, this is a memory of me and my husband and the times that we used to have outdoors. And that's what I'm really hopeful about. We had artists from India who, depicted how the LGBTQ community had come out and supported people in need. So it was really diverse. But we had all of the artists give us the artwork. We had production costs covered. And then we just put it up on our website saying you're literally getting your plate for free. That, all of the money is being donated to charity. So why don't you buy one? And then we sold out the entire collection, I think, in less than 20 days. So that's when it really hit us that, this can really make major impact happen.
Yeah, and so that this was a plateful of hope was your most successful initiative of the others, right?
Yeah, yeah, any day.
So did it give a boost to the other, projects that you had going on?
In terms of other work, or are you saying only about the plate project?
About the plated project.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it really helped because when somebody came onto our website, it's what you like finally, right? So they saw all of the stuff and they said, oh, I really like this artwork, but I also like these others. And it's okay with me if it's being donated to a different charity.
Right.
So then we also had all of our existing artwork start selling out more. We had the Plateful of Hope series that really, sold a lot. And then it became a self-fulfilling, cycle or a prophecy per se, because then we had artists reach out saying that, are you doing a part 2 of this? Or, can we be a part of this for the next month? And I was talking to somebody else who I got in touch with during that period. And they said that, while you all have done something great about migrant workers, do you know that the artisans who are really the original artists from India, that all of them are out of a job? And there are about 200 million of them who rely on travel and tourism and fairs and things like that.
Yeah.
So why don't you support them? And that's where we said that, okay, the next month is about supporting the artisans of India. And, we said Creative Dignity is going to be the charity that we picked. And then all of the artists who had reached out, we went back to them and said that next month, this is what we're doing. So it also got a lot of traction, not just in sales, but in terms of artists and other people who are reaching out and, collaborating with us. That really helped.
Yeah. Big corporates and celebrities were talking about it, and I'm sure that must have been a big help as well.
Yeah, yeah, any day. I mean, I'm a real believer in the Instagram influencer now. That it's not the numbers, but a lot of people, like, Rushad Shroff. I mean, I ended up talking to him and then we know each other now as well. But the day that Rushad shared a post about us, we had a huge spike in the number of people who are ordering from us. Because all the people who follow an interior architect are obviously already in that mental space.
Yeah.
We're looking for stuff like this. So anytime somebody posts about us, it always helps. So we actually encourage it. Now, every time we send a plate out to somebody, we actually tell that person that, if you want to give back even more, then just share a picture of this plate online. And it's not just a selfish reason. It's not that we want to get famous, but it feeds the entire cycle, right? So that really helps.
That's true. What has been your biggest learning since you started the Plated project? How did it challenge you?
So I think the biggest learning has been that I've always been a dreamer. Like, I like big ideas. I like the whole idea of doing something which is different and cool. But with the Plated project, with a very small team, there are just 3 of us who work on this. We've really realized that it's a power of execution. So when you get into production, where this is finally a product, right? So everything from packaging, shipping costs, payment gateways, that's the make or break. So you might have a beautiful idea, but if you can't execute it right,
Yeah.
it doesn't work. So I mean, if you go, and I actually tell you that I'm not very proud of our current payment gateway. So a lot of people reach out to us saying that we've been trying to order from the states or from somewhere else, but you guys don't seem to accept our international credit card. And then you'll be sitting down there and writing emails to whoever's supporting a platform, saying that, listen, I'm losing business and I'm losing orders, and they get back 48 hours later, and then you realize that, okay, that's a lost customer.
Yeah.
So all of those things, it's been the biggest learning for us. And the other big thing that I really enjoy is, as a brand consultant or as a design thinking professional, you will go in and make presentations and you'll share ideas, and then it takes a year or two for you to actually see your work come alive, right? Here it's immediate. So if we put something out, we know if people love it or hate it immediately. So I mean, all of us really love that, but we're all learning now to live with all of the other things, which is GST certificates and invoicing. And you want to give to charity, but the charity needs it in a certain format.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a learning experience. But it's fun. I mean, overall, when you look at the impact you make and how it's building itself, it's a lot of fun.
How has it been like for the team? I know this is like a side project, a passion project, like you said before, and this isn't actually your bread and butter, right?
Correct.
But I'm sure now it's it. I mean, yes, it's creatively very fulfilling, but now that it's taken off in a big way, how has it been for the team in terms of managing it with other work that you do?
So what we've done as a conscious decision is we've kept this as separate P&L. So our objective has never been that we'll make money from this, but we've at least made sure that it pays for itself. So I've been doing all of the other work, but the two people who work on this full time, they actually work only on this now.
Okay.
And what we try and do now is that on a normal basis, we are not donating 100% of what somebody pays us to charity. So the way it works is, if you've paid 2,000 rupees for a plate, we will deduct the actual production cost. From that, 50% straight away goes to the charity. The remaining 25% goes to the artist. And the last 25% is what we keep to just keep the project going.
Yeah.
So it's not profitable, but it at least pays for itself. It's not like we are pumping in a lot of money into it. And both people are very happy doing this. So, Dhruvi loves curation, she loves design, she loves all of that. Kapil's the other person who's looking after all of the logistics, operations, logistics, deliveries. And then we've got vendors who help us with, the actual fabrication and things like that.
Okay.
So far, it is still at a stage where we're saying that, let it continue. It's our way of giving back, but we're not looking at trying to spin it off into something much larger than it is. We just want to keep growing the impact without, investing too much into it or putting a larger team that tries to manage it or things like that.
Yeah. So, I want to ask you, there are so many charities and NGOs vying for people's attention that really need, support. And the Plated Project has done something, I think it's a very successful model of including two different streams, say art and a cause, and making it known. So is this one way of looking at how charities can go forward in the future? Because a lot of people, when charities say, okay, could you please donate, everyone just, like they say, they keep scrolling, or they don't really pay
Yeah.
heed to it much. Yeah. So what do you have to say about how charities can make it more engaging?
I don't think the business model of a charity can change dramatically.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. For us today, if plates costs us 2,000 rupees, a large chunk of it is actually the production cost, right? So what goes into charity is smaller. But if you really want to give 100% to charity and you don't care about anything else, you'll give 2,000 straight to the charity. So I think they will always need to have that model where they've got a lot of people giving them money upfront. But it's the engagement, like you said, that I need to be engaged, right? And it goes back to our aim that you will always have 20% of the population which is woke and will come and say that I'm giving it to you because I know it's, my responsibility as a citizen. But there's 80% out there who are ready to do different things. So I might attend a music gig and, I'm happy to pay for the music, but it's okay if you're donating that money to charity. It gives me a story to tell.
Right.
There might be people who love art and they're ready to buy decorative plates. So there are different ways in which you can do this. And then I think it's the initiation, right? So assume that you got a plate from us. And when the plate comes to you, it comes in a box that actually has a letter which talks about the art, the artist, and the charity.
Yeah.
So we've had people calling us, like there's somebody who actually called me very angry and said, "You're cheating us." So I said, "What am I cheating about?" They said that your plate says that in 1500 rupees, you're going to provide 250 meals. How is that even possible? And that's where we actually went down to it and explained to them that this is the cost of what 1 kilo of rice, 1 kilo of dal, 1 kg of other pulses cost at a ration shop. So if you actually want to feed a family of six, 3 meals a day, they will need so much rice, they will need so much dal, they will need so many pulses. And if you divide all of that, it comes down to this per meal. And then that person was convinced. And that's where they said that, oh, I didn't know this. I didn't know that if I give it to Goonj, they can actually give out a ration kit. So why don't I actually find out more about Goonj and donate directly to them? So that's the other big aim that we have. That conversations like this, we may be a drop in the ocean when it comes to the amount of money that can go to charity, but it's like a ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
Then you've got many different conversations happening. Like if you put a plate up in your house, everybody who comes down is going to look at it and say, "Oh, I like this. It's so cute. What's the story behind it?" And then you're actually telling them that, "Oh, this plate, this is a story behind it. And when I bought this, it felt really good because I sponsored 250 meals." And then that's three more people at a party or at a dinner in your house who now became aware of how cheap it is to, end hunger or sponsor meals.
Okay.
So I think that's the thing, that it's a balance of both. That rather than the typical image of a hungry child crying, with an empty bowl and saying that feed the child, a lot of people actually scroll past it quicker, right? Because
Yeah.
we like happy things. We don't want to be made aware of all the sad things in the world. But something like this is a very different way of initiating somebody into a conversation about charity or hunger. So I think a balance of both can really make a difference.
Okay. How do you ensure people will won't lose interest in the plated project as you keep moving forward?
I hope they don't. So it's a conscious thing that we've also been thinking about. So one of the things that we made sure that we do is that it is not just about the plate. So we made sure that we are engaging the community online. So we run contests, we talk to them about art in general. We are talking to other collaborators to do Instagram takeovers, things like that. The second thing is we have also been consciously toying with the idea of moving beyond plates.
Okay.
So the aim will always remain the same, that anything that you buy from us, it'll always give back a meal or a certain number of meals. But maybe you don't want a decorative plate, maybe you want something else. So how can we put art on places where you don't expect art to be, and then keep doing that? So then it becomes, because a lot of people come in and talk to us and say that, "Oh, you know what, I really love what you do, but I want something which is cheaper, or I want something which is even more exclusive than a limited print of a certain artwork." So we've been evaluating how can we expand the range of the offering. But in addition to that, how can we really keep conversations happening with the ideas?
Okay.
Like, the themes, like you said, a quarter nostalgia, you like the 1/4. With a plate full of hope, it was the idea of can you interpret hope in a different way? Now with Children's Day coming up again, we are going to do something different with that again. So anybody who follows us, or anybody who says that, let me let me subscribe to the newsletter, it's not the typical approach of we will send you offers or we will send you 3 plates launched or this is a new artwork. It's about new conversations, new collaborations. We've been talking to somebody who runs a poetry account, that how can we merge poetry and art. So That's, I mean, maybe it will all fail and people will lose interest and nobody will buy our plate.
Hope not.
Yeah, I hope not. But that's fine. So far, the aim is that we create new products and we stick to reimagining art and reinterpreting hunger in unique ways. That's what we're trying to do.
That's wonderful. I know the Plated project is part of the Chlorophyll Innovation Lab. And I was going through some of the work that the lab has been doing, which you had. It was very interesting. I mean, whether it was the inspiration medal that you'd come up for the Mumbai Marathon or the Mumbai portal. So, in your opinion, could you tell me a little bit about what innovation means to you?
It's a very simple definition. Innovation for us is just the ability of connecting the dots in between two seemingly disconnected things. So it's what we did with the Plated project. We've got hunger and charity on one side, and we've got art on the other. And you just connect the dots. Oh, can I do mix these two together?
Okay.
With the inspiration medal, it's an interesting story. The brief was, can you create a campaign to get more people to register for the full marathon? And then we followed the same thought process and we said that, okay, let's connect the dots between what is the driver for somebody to run a full marathon and what is the outcome. So he said, everybody runs for that medal, right? You want to bite that medal, kiss the medal, and that's a photo you'll put up on your wall for the next 50 years. But we realized that most people who took part in the full or rather dropped off after a while, it wasn't because of a lack of that runner wanting to do it. It was because of the support system that didn't exist in India. So if I want to take up full distance, running, a long distance running, my diet needs to change, my work schedule needs to change, my family relationships will change because every weekend I'm going to be out for 4 hours or 5 hours, right?
Yeah.
And that's where you realize that all the people who did run, all of them said the same thing, that I wouldn't have been able to do it without my wife, my father, my boss. And the ones who gave up had the exact same reason, that I gave up because it affected my family. I gave up because my boss didn't give me time. And that's where we again just connected the dots, that, the medal, rather than it being for you, the runner or the finisher, can it be for somebody who inspired you? And it was the inspiration medal. Same thing with the Mumbai portal, that when we did that, the whole idea was that, people wanted to hear inspirational stories, but it was always that, oh, somebody else is inspiring me, or I heard about this great podcast that Mahani runs, and I'm very inspired by her. But we said that, can we reinterpret this whole thing, that you walk into a shipping container and you've come face to face with somebody from another part of the world, and the only thing you'll share is that both of you have done something inspirational in life, so now just have a conversation.
Okay.
So it's very simple. So when we do workshops, when we do projects, it always starts off with this, that let's find out all of the information that exists. And then let's just start making connections between two places where there's no connection made.
That's, yeah, very interesting way you put it. Going forward, what are you working on? What plans?
With the Plated project, like we spoke about, we're looking at new products. We're migrating from the current website to hopefully a much better one. So, it'll function better. We're trying to get all of our logistics in place, because a lot of times, we've not been able to master the Amazon model, that you order something on a button and it's at your door in the evening.
Yeah.
Every time I open an Amazon box, I'm actually looking at the amount of cardboard that they use, and I'm actually calculating that it's wastage, but more than wastage, it's 20 to 25 bucks worth of packaging that they're sending to you. And for me, I'm like, I can't afford this. How do I manage expectations of this?
I know. And usually it'll be a small bottle in a really big box sometimes because they don't want it to break.
Yeah, it's that scale, right? They've been able to do it because of scale. But for us, it's really about that single rupee that we can save at packaging optimization. So all of that's happening on the Plated project. At the lab, we've been really focusing a lot on, the cliche term now, what's the new normal? Because when it came to innovation, when it came to the work that we do, that's the first place that budgets get cut, right?
Yeah.
I don't need a consultant to come and tell me how I need to be innovative. You are now going to be innovative from today. And then the brand manager is like, okay, I know how to do this. So we've had our ups and downs, but we've been lucky enough to get some great work. So we've just wrapped up a project where we've been working with somebody on launching plant-based meat alternatives in India.
Okay.
So, how do you get people who are non-vegetarians to really adapt to plant-based meat? So that's been fun. So work continues on that scale. We've been doing exciting projects of that sort, but we also have been now focusing a lot more on how can we create different products? How can we productize innovation so that it's scalable? So exciting things happening on both fronts. It's good.
Yeah, that's good. Are you thinking of other projects like the Plated project? Something that runs on the side?
For sure. Every year we wanted to launch one social impact initiative. So Plated project started last year. This year we've not done anything else because of what's happened in the world.
Yeah.
We want to stick to just the Plated project for this year. But next year we are already thinking about what's the next social impact related project that we can launch as a passion project. So we will be doing something on that front next year for sure. So that continues.
Great. So we'll be continuing to hear interesting things.
I hope so, yeah.
But thanks so much, Chitresh. It was lovely talking to you.
Thanks, same here. A pleasure to talk to you.
If you'd like to know more about the Plated project, do check out their website, theplatedproject.com. Until next time, take care.